Peter, how did you find Carnivore?
Well, that's a kind of a long story. I'll try and encapsulate that for you, Dave. So, going back to this is the summer of 2022. Um, I had been diagnosed with prediabetes for many years. I knew that, and I didn't really think much of it. I didn't take it very seriously. I didn't change my diet. At that point in time, I had ballooned up to my highest weight, and I was probably somewhere between 300 and 310. Now I'm 6'3", maybe 6'2", and I'm 63 years old. And at the time, so I guess I was 61. So this is a couple of years ago. And I went to the doctor's office for, I have mild hypothyroidism. And I went for just what I thought was just, to adjust my meds. I take levothyroxine for mild hypothyroidism. And, they give me my new prescription, and I didn't think much of it. So fast forward this was, I guess, August. Fast forward now to the end of January 2023. So it's about 7 months later. And I go in for an annual physical, you know, and they took my blood and all these different things. And as the nurse is doing her little interview, she's like, "Okay, are you taking this for your depression? Are you taking this for your anxiety, for your ADHD? Are you taking these three blood pressure medicines?" I'm like, "Yes, I'm still taking those three blood pressure medicines." "Are you taking your omeprazole for your acid reflux?" I'm like, "Yes." And she said, "And what are you taking for your diabetes?" I said, "I'm not taking anything for diabetes. I'm pre-diabetic." She goes, "Oh no, you're full-blown diabetic." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" I said, no one's told me that." She goes, "Oh yes." I said, "Well, when did this happen?" She said, "Oh, she's looking through her records. I see here you had a blood taken in August, and your A1C was, I think it was over 8. I don't remember the number." And I'm like, are you kidding me?" So anyway, I was pretty upset. No one ever told me. The doctor comes in, and I said, "What's this going on here?" He goes, "Oh, I told you about that." I said, "No, you didn't." I mean, he's trying to tell me that I'm a liar or something, like, "Oh, I told you about that." So anyway, that was the beginning. And I just want to go back to my late father-in-law, Dick. His name was Dick Dalsimer. Loved him like a second father. He died of end stage type 2 diabetes in a wheelchair, no legs, both legs amputated, you know, 5 fingers amputated, on dialysis 7 years because his kidney shut down, nearly blind, in 24/7 pain. Um, just, how horrible end stage diabetes. They would just nickel and dime. They started with a toe, then they took half his foot, then they took a leg, then they took his other leg, then they took his fingers. I mean, that image, Dave, was what came to mind when they told me that I am now got the same disease as my father-in-law. And I just saw myself. I don't want to be that guy. So I told the doctor, "Look," because he wanted to start putting me on medicine for diabetes. And I said, "Look, give me 6 months. I'm going to figure this out. Diet, exercise." I didn't really know what I was going to do, but I knew that I didn't want to just, go down that road because I know what the road is. They just keep increasing, because my mom is 85 years old and she's been a diabetic, type 2 diabetic, for 20, probably 25 years. And all they do is keep increasing her insulin. They put her on Ozempic, and keep increasing, increasing, increasing. And you get sicker and sicker. So I didn't want to go down that road. So I went on to um, YouTube, and I typed in 2 words: reverse diabetes. And what came up? Dr. Berry's reverse diabetes video. It's the same one Kerry from Homestead How found as well. It's funny, we started the exact same way. And that thing had over 1 million views. And I watched it and I'm like, "Oh my God, what this crazy diet?" It was keto. He was really talking keto. And that I can reverse my diabetes by just taking out sugar and a lot of carbohydrates and the seed oils, And all this is news to me. I had never heard anything like this, Dave. That he might as well be like an alien talking to me. But I mean, I always knew sugar was bad, I guess. Everyone knows you shouldn't have so much sugar. But I didn't really have a plan. So and then I said, this is, I don't know that this is true, that you can really reverse diabetes just by changing what you eat. So I started reading all the comments, and you go down that rabbit hole and you can't stop. And I'm seeing, well, I got rid of my depression. Well, I have bipolar depression. I've been suffering for decades and on medicine, all kinds of medicine. Anxiety. I had anxiety, was on anxiety medicine. I had ADHD. People are talking about that in the comments. IBS. I had that. I had all kinds of stomach issues and constipation, diarrhea, hemorrhoids, all of these horrible gut problems, bloating, you know, um, acid reflux, all these different things. And I'm like, wait a minute, fatty liver. And I know my liver enzymes during that same, where they told me I had diabetes, they also told me I have fatty liver too. So, all these things. And I'm just like, I got to try this, right? I'm just going to try it. And because so many people, especially on the diabetes front, that they got off insulin and they no longer take the medicine. And high blood pressure. I mentioned I was on 3 high blood pressure, and it wasn't very well controlled. I mean, maybe with the 3 blood pressure medicines, I got it to, yeah, I got it to maybe 140/90 was like the best I could get it, even medicated. I could never get it down to, 120, 125/80 or whatever normal is. So I went to Costco and I went to the store and I bought some different, meat, and I bought some fresh vegetables. I bought some berries. Now, with keto, it's different, right? And also, he didn't make it clear about the keto treats and the keto bread. This video, he didn't mention. In subsequent videos, he talked about not, that keto is meat, half of your plate is meat, the other is veg. But this video, he didn't go into that. So I'm doing, different keto things and berries, and I could have some dark chocolate. But it was mostly the meat, changing the meat. I did get rid of most of the seed oils, the bread, the rice, the grains, all those things. And after a couple of weeks, I felt a lot better, but I kept watching more videos, and not only Dr. Barry, but the whole host of different people. I started finding everybody, the Dr. Chafee, the Dr. Baker, you, everybody. And actually, you were just starting out. I don't even know if you had started. This is back in early 23. Were you on then?
Yeah, I was like October 22
Yeah,
was when the
because I remember
channel
watching a
started.
couple of your videos, and I did a lot, started walking a little bit, and I would listen to you, the interviews, and that just further reinforced this is real. And I'm like, carnivore. And I remember you were one of the first ones that started talking about this carnivore. I'm like, well, I don't really love vegetables that much. Why? I don't, if I don't need to eat those, I'm just gonna get rid of those. So I'm gonna go back to my childhood real quick. When I was a kid, Dave, I had a brother, older brother, younger sister. I was the middle kid, and we used to all meet as a family, and we would eat dinner. And I would be the last one at the table because I wouldn't eat my vegetables, and my mom would. It would be like a struggle session, like a negotiation. And she'd be like, "Okay, look, eat 10 more peas," and I said, "I'll eat one." I'm a salesman. I sell furniture for a living, and I've always been in sales. So I guess this is where the sales came, and we would have like a little back and forth. Finally, she'd say, "Like, eat 8." I said, "I'll eat 2 peas," because I hated them so bad. Anyway, she would turn her back, and there was a potted plant behind me, and I would put them put them under the dirt. If there was broccoli or lima beans. I don't know if you ever had to eat those. She would try to say, "These are so healthy, these lima beans." And I could not. Or I would bury them underneath the peas or whatever, under the mashed potatoes. I would, but then she found, when she would, scrape the plate, she found the peas. So I couldn't use that tactic anymore. So, I mean, all my life, I've always loved meat. I used to love cooking eggs, Dave. My mom used to call me the egg man because I would make eggs all the time, and cooked in real butter. She had margarine and butter. I could not stand the margarine. I just hated the way it tasted. It tasted like a chemical or something. So I would always love butter and real eggs, bacon, whatever, sausage. I love that stuff. Meat, chicken, pork, you name it, seafood. Always love that stuff. So, the more you're talking about carnivore in your interviews, I'm like, I love all that stuff, but is it safe? I kept thinking it can't be safe because it was so ingrained in my mind that you have to eat your fruits and vegetables. You can't be healthy if you eat just meat and eggs, whatever. You're going to you're going to have a heart attack. You're going to kill yourself. But that's the foods that I really love. So I'm like, okay, this sounds great. So about 2 weeks in, I changed over to I would say mostly carnivore, and now I'm coming up on 1,000 days. I'm about 970 days. I'm about 30. I'm about 30 days away. But what ended up happening about 3 or 4 weeks in, I had terrible arthritis, Dave, in my knees. It felt like bone on bone. I thought I needed 2 knee replacements. I had a pain in my back. I had a shoulder injury from when I played football as a kid, a terrible shoulder pain. All my pain, my arthritis pain, all joint pain in my body disappeared after about 3, 4 weeks. All my bathroom issues, the gut problems, gone. It seemed like at the 3 or 4 week mark. And I think this is pretty common among a lot of carnivores from the interviews I see. I think that certain gut bacteria or certain changes happen. Maybe it takes that long to clear some things out. But my acid reflux went away. My brain fog started to lift. Acid reflux went away. You know, just all these changes started happening. I had terrible fatigue. I think eating lots of carbohydrates. I don't know. Did you have this, Dave, where you kind of had general fatigue?
Oh yeah, yeah. I just thought it was normal, but yeah, once it clears and you start to realize, oh wow,
Yeah, and
I
it's
was
weird. Like
walking under a cloud.
it's where like I would be sitting somewhere like on the couch, and the thought of moving would be like, oh, that's gonna be such an effort. Like, isn't that weird? And now it's like I'm just jump up. Oh, I want to go here. Oh, I gotta go. Yeah, I go there, go there. There's this like feeling of like I don't want to move is gone. So it just that fatigue kind of went away, and I started getting this incredible energy. Now here I'm 300 and some pounds, and a lot of people said, "Oh, the reason why your pain went away is you lost all that weight." I'm like, "No, no, no, you don't understand. I hadn't lost any weight yet. Maybe 10 pounds or something. When you're 300, 5, 10 pounds, Dave, is not going to make any difference on your knees with the pain and the shoulder and all. It was inflammation. There's no doubt in my mind that as all that inflammation lifts, your brain fog going away, all these things, it's inflammation in the gut. That's why my IBS, all of a sudden, I couldn't feel my stomach anymore. That bloating feeling. All of a sudden, I couldn't feel my stomach anymore in a good way. So things started getting better and better. But fast forward, about 3 months in, I had another blood test. My fatty liver was gone. My I had to stop the blood pressure medicine because I started feeling like I was going to faint, like I was going to pass out. So on my own, I just stopped one, and then eventually the next one, and it was over a period of maybe a year. I think I got off all three. I was off all three, but pretty quickly, my blood pressure did start to come down. And the fatty liver, like I said, at the 3 week mark, went away completely. All the liver enzymes were completely normal. I lost 10 pounds a month, Dave, for 5 months straight. So I lost 50 pounds in 5 months. Then I hit a really bad stall, and my weight. I want to say 4 months. I didn't lose a pound. And I got a little discouraged because here I am. I'm still about 250 pounds, but you know for me, that was kind of normal weight. Like 300 was high. And I always had been right around 240, 250 in that range. So I was like, okay. But I just kept at it, because I'm still watching all the videos and, everything's great. Um, and I broke the stall. What ended up happening was I was taking electrolytes, and I stopped taking the electrolytes. I mix things up a little bit, mix the food. I tighten my eating window. I do 2 meals a day. I'm a two mad guy pretty much. I just get too hungry for the one meal a day, I guess. For me, so I tightened up the window, Dave, to from maybe 20 to 18, and then eventually like 19. So 19.5 or 18.6 is about right for me. And I also was eating cheese. I had some cheese. The cheese was stalling me out, and I was kind of addicted to the cheese. So I cut out the cheese completely. I stopped the electrolytes. I tightened the window. And anyway, I got down to my lowest weight, and I guess it was a year and a half in, was 199 pounds. Now, I had not been 199 pounds, Dave. Bear in mind, I'm 6'3" or so. That's pretty thin. I had not been that weight, Dave, since I was 19, and I'm 63. I went from a pant size 44 to a 34. I'm now holding steady at 34. Now, I probably gained about 5 pounds. I'm probably around 205, maybe 207. But I do a lot of walking. I lift some weights, and I do, a little bit, some sit ups and push ups and stuff. So, but that's, I guess that's the short list.
At that
Yeah.
3-month point, when you had the
hmm
blood test done, um, how was your A1C? What had happened with your type
It,
2?
it, it went from over 8 to, I want to say 6.2. Yeah. Now currently it's right around 5.2. So, I mean, I'm like, I've been basically have not been diabetic for, well, I'm what, 2.5 years in here. I'd say, a year and a half. I've been at least a year and a half. I've been below 5.6. Yeah.
So I guess, well, congratulations, but I
Thank you.
guess, at that point, your doctor was calling the New York Times and the Washington Post to come down and interview
You know
you
what's
because
funny?
this was amazing news.
No. So of course my LDL skyrocketed, right? Just like everyone else's, and my total cholesterol. My triglycerides were very high. Well, I don't know, 150, 200 when I started. My HDL was maybe 25, 30, was very low. It's typical for people on the SAD diet. And my HDL rose, and my the LDL and the total cholesterol went up, but my triglycerides went down, went to about, I think this is about 6 8 months in, under 100. So, but all he wanted to do is focus on my LDL, and he prescribed a statin. And my doctor's a good guy, but he follows a practice. They have to, I don't blame him. I understand, but he's bought into it hook, line, and sinker. They all are, Dave. So I had already, by this point, I was reluctant, but I did take the statin for a week. Okay. Because he scared me sufficiently, and I hadn't dove into the LDL. This is only 6 months in. And I got to tell you, I had severe joint pain and muscle pain, because that's a big side effect, to the point where I almost couldn't do my morning walks. I was like, what is going on here? And brain fog really bad came back. So I stopped taking the statin, and I started researching statins. And of course, I went Dr. Berry statins, and I searched and started there, and then found lots of people talking about statins. And the more I researched about with it, there's no benefit. All the studies show zero benefit. I mean, almost zero. I think you live another 3 4 days, on a statin versus not a statin. Just really bad stuff. So, and all the side effects. So it's funny. The last time I went in, Dave, to the doctor was hilarious. somehow I'm expecting a war, right? I'm prepared for battle, like I'm ready for the LDL battle, right? Because I knew everything else was perfect. I mean, I'm off all my. By the way, I used to take a handful of medicine. I'm off all medicine other than the levothyroxine, for my thyroid. But it's very mild hypothyroidism. I've had that since I was 20 or 25, so it's nothing. It's really a big fat zero. So I go in, and of course, he starts asking me, are you still taking this for your depression? No. Are you still taking this for your anxiety? No. Are you still taking this for your ADHD? No. Are you still taking the omeprazole for your acid reflux? No. And then he gets to the blood pressure medicine, right? And you could see him getting angry. I said, "Are you taking this one?" No. So he pauses and he looks at me, and he goes, "Are you taking this one?" And I said, "No." And then and you could see him. He was like boiling, like he's getting mad at me. And I said, and he goes, "Why did you stop taking your blood pressure medicine? That's very I said, dangerous." I said, "Doctor," I said, "do me a favor. Can you pull out a blood pressure cuff and just measure my blood pressure?" You know, and he's still giving me the lecture as he's coming over and doing it and putting it on, and I'm listening. I'm like, okay. He takes my blood pressure. This is with no blood pressure medicine for. I hadn't seen him in a year, so I had been off blood pressure medicine for over a year on my own. I kind of titrated off of it myself because I was getting dizzy. I thought I was going to pass out. 120 over 75. So I said, "Well, what is it?" And he said, "It's 120 over 75." He goes, "That's good. That was as good as I could." He didn't even be like, "Oh wow," or he's just like, he goes, "You're right," or something like that. Um. Anyway, the blood test for my LDL came back. My LDL, Dave, was low. It was only like 120, or it was some small number, like in range. So I don't know if it was a temporary thing where it went up and then came back down. I hadn't really done anything different. But I have heard stories where the LDL can rise and then eventually come back down. I don't know if you've heard of that before.
Yeah, I think, it's basically what your body needs at the time. That's
Yeah,
what the level of LDL is, you know?
yeah. And my triglycerides, Dave, are 60.
Well, and, you know,
And
that
my HDL went up to like 65. Yeah,
so when you see this, you know, and it just it makes me kind of shake my head when you think, you know, the doctors will pick one number, like
yeah,
typically your LDL, and just
yeah.
focus on that and just be, you know, this is a nightmare. You're going to kill yourself, heart attack. Oh, this is awful. They don't look at the whole thing in context. And when you have all these good results, they're never looking at those good results and going, oh, good
But
job.
Dave,
Well done.
Dave,
What did you do?
he never said any time during my exam, you know, it's amazing that you've reversed your diabetes, your fatty liver, your high blood pressure, blah 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 blah. You're off all your medicines. No, it was just, he wanted to scold me for going off my blood pressure medicines without talking to him. And I was prepared for the LDL conversation again. And I mean, so it's a shame because I think what medicine has become is sick care, not health care. They literally, all they are there to, the whole medical field is, they're trained to, okay, if the customer, if the patient says, "I have this problem," you look into your Rolodex and you go, or your computer, and go, "Okay, you take this medicine. If you have this ache, pain, this, you take this medicine." But before you know it, you're like a walking, talking pharmaceutical, list of, and there's a lot of people out there who are on, like me. I was on, I don't know, 8 or 10 medicines or something, and I know people are on 20 or more medicine. So, like, my mom, unfortunately, is, on the whole laundry list of it. She has one of those pill boxes with all the schedule and everything. So, yeah, it's amazing. I wish that they would not treat, but try and find the root cause of what all these problems are. Let's find out what the root cause. We know what the root cause is. 95% of it is metabolic disease of some sort, and it's caused by the food people are eating. And
Yeah.
so, but they never talk about food. They never ask you what you're eating. And if I, he did ask me what, what did I change? What did I do? And I didn't want to say, well, I only eat meat and have a big argument. I just said I'm on a healthy whole foods diet. I cut out sugar, processed food, and seed oils. That's all I said, And he goes, well, keep doing it. Seems to be working for you. But had I said, I'm keto or carnivore, or I eat lots of red fatty meat and eggs and butter, it would have been an argument. Oh, that's not good for you.
So this is the thing, right?
Mhm.
If he's not clear on what it is, then he's focused on the result,
Yeah,
right? So if you were to say, "Oh, I'm doing a modified Mediterranean diet" or something
yeah.
like that, he'll be like, "Good job, keep up the
Well,
good work,"
that's
right?
what I did. I knew what he would want to hear, and
Mm,
to be really honest with you, it's none of his business anyway because he doesn't really care. I mean, if he
yeah,
really cared, like I mean, he was open minded, but I know, he's one of those old school guys. So
yeah. But the sad thing is, if you did say to him, "I'm doing keto" or "I'm doing carnivore," suddenly then he's more focused on the process rather than the result.
right,
And anyone like have any job, if you're focused more on process than result, then you're not much use in your job, Um,
exactly.
so the the um the thing that I when I hear your story, one of the things that kind of sticks in my mind is when you think about what your father-in-law went through,
Yeah,
and you considered like there's so many like that's basically maybe not to that extreme, but that's basically the way the general population is going,
yeah.
right? And all
Mhm.
these doctors are sitting around going, "Yeah, keep doing the same thing that we've been recommending for 50 years. Keep doing that." Right? You think at some point most doctors, given how much education they've had to get to their position, would kind of start looking at this and going, "Oh, we're doing something wrong here."
You would think so, but it's sad, Dave, and I've thought about this a lot. Is that this problem is not going to be fixed from the top down, like from the doctors all of a sudden seeing the light, Dave. I'm a realist. Here's what I think. I think that, and I don't think that you're ever going to have a giant amount of people who are going to eat like we eat. I just don't. Maybe you'll have more. It's going to come from the grassroots up. It's going to come from people sharing their stories like this venue and Dr. Barry and Dr. Chafian, all the Dr. Kiltz and all the Mitch, old guy carnivore. It's going to come from the bottom up. It's going to come from people sharing with their loved ones, with on YouTube and hearing the stories, reading the comments like I did, and going, it's going to increase. I'm not a defeatist completely. I just believe it's going to come from it's people like us that have to lift and create this surge. It's not going to come from doctors and the medical industry. It's not going to come from mainstream media doing stories about how great carnivore is. It's just not going to. I just can't see a world in my lifetime, maybe my children or grandchildren's lifetime, but I think in the near term, it's going to be from people like us sharing our stories. I
Yeah,
really do.
yeah, I agree. Um,
Yeah,
so you were you were on the channel, a while back.
yeah.
Since then, has anything changed about Anything health-wise or any change to the way you eat?
Um, I don't think so. I mean, I feel great. I walk more. I do more walking. I've begun, like I said, doing some light weights, and I added the sit ups and push ups. So I'm way more physically fit than I was. I gained, like I said, about 6 or 8 pounds from when I last talked to you, but my clothes fit exactly the same. And like I think I have more muscle. I have just body recomposition slightly, but my 34 pants still fit fine, and I feel stronger. I feel, Dave, I'm 63, but I feel like I'm 23. Like, I mean, I haven't felt this good since I was a young man, like college or high school. I just, I have unlimited energy. Like, I have so much energy. It's insane. I mean, I wake up 4 or 5 in the morning every morning. I mean, that's insane. And I'm up. I'm just like, boom. It's not like I'm groggy. I mean, I'm up. And I do go to bed earlier, so I'm probably pass out 8:30, 9:30 at night. I a lot of times, sometimes 10, but I get up early. Um, I pretty much eat the same as I did the last time I talked to you. I do 2 meals a day. I do like a what I call fatty coffee deluxe. It's a patented Papa Petey special. I basically put a lot of butter. I do it's like Kerrygold, basically, the grass fed butter in my coffee, regular, just caffeinated coffee. But I only drink 1 cup. I put butter. I put a little bit of bacon grease in there, just a little bit. I save the bacon grease in my refrigerator in a little pot, and I just scoop a little in, a splash of heavy cream, and just a little bit of vanilla for flavor, and I whip it up with an immersion blender, and it's just incredible. So it's like a fatty coffee, I guess you'd call it bulletproof coffee in a way. But I need to do very high fat carnivore. I'm 75, 80%. If I don't do really high fat, Dave, I'm prone to heart like constipation very easily. So I'm not when I hear of all these people that are the opposite, I'm the opposite of the loose stool guy. I'm the opposite. If I don't go super high fat, like I add butter to even a ribeye, I'm eating cold butter pieces with almost every bite. I mean, it's crazy, right? I mean, other people would be like on running to the bathroom probably if they did what I do. But for me, I all that extra high fat also for my brain for keeping my depression, anxiety, and ADHD and brain fog into full remission. Oh, that's the other side of the story, Dave. I'm off all the psych meds. I was on all kind of psych meds. I titrated off of them. I did work with my psychiatrist to get off all those medicines slowly. And the last medicine, which was like an antipsychotic for the bipolar, he did not want me to come off of that. He refused, but of course I did it anyway. I didn't tell him, and I did it, and I stopped. I no longer see my psychiatrist. I have no use for him. I mean, it's a waste of my money, my time. So yeah,
So you just reminded me of something. I often get a lot of comments asking about ADHD.
yeah.
Um, so can you describe what your ADHD was like before carnivore and like compare that to now?
It would be hard for me to do an interview with you, Dave, the way I was before, because I would interrupt you. I would be talking over you constantly. I did it a little bit during this interview, but it would be driving you crazy because you would say something and either I would start thinking about some other, you would say something and then I'd start thinking about all these different things about what you said. And then as you keep talking, I'm not really listening to you anymore because I'm thinking of what you just said. Like, and you go off in these tangents, it's hard for you to keep your thoughts together. And so I'd always have to come back on and go, what did you say? What were you saying? Because I zoned you out because I'm in this other world of thinking of other, you're thinking of whatever, something. This now as you can see, you ask me a question like a normal person. I listen, and then I give you a normal, answer, and then I stop, and then, you know, I could not do that. I couldn't focus. I just very unfocused. And now I'm like able to really listen to people, which is like I've always had that problem my whole life with, listening skills. In every company, and I used to work for the bank for 26 years for a big bank, and I would always in my reviews they would hit me on my listening skills were poor, and it was the ADD, ADHD, you know.
And, so when you were taking meds, the meds kind of slowed that kind of racing thinking down or something like
Yeah,
that?
yeah, but you know what? The other thing that those all those meds did, it would make you dull. You had like no emotions. You killed your sex drive completely. You would just feel like a zombie. These medicines just they yeah, you might take out the highs and lows of the bipolar, or you may lift up your depression, but you're just like existing. I can't explain it other than everything's gray. Everything's gray. Now everything's is in color again. My life is in I'm seeing in color, which brings me to my eyesight has improved, Dave. Like I used to wear glasses for I was farsighted, and I would need glasses to drive it, particularly at night, to see the road signs far away. And I started, and like if I looked at the leaves in the trees far away, you would just look fuzzy. You couldn't see individual leaves. Now I look far distance. I look at the tree. I can see every single leaf as like no like definition. Colors are more vivid. I can drive. I haven't worn glasses. I haven't worn my glasses, Dave, in a year and a half. I went to the optometrist, to get new glasses because I hadn't had glasses in a while. And when I would put on my glasses, everything was really messed up, like blurry and stuff. And I'm like, man, I need new glasses. So I would go my eyesight improved by 2 full diopters in each eye. It went from minus 125 down to minus 100, minus 75 in each eye. That's 2 full diopters in each eye. I asked the doctor, and she's been an optometrist for 25 years. I said, "Have you ever seen someone at my age, almost retired guy, 60, that their eyesight actually improved this much?" She said, "I've never seen that." She goes, "This is usually it stays the same or gets worse." And so I don't know, but I can drive even at night, and I can read the road signs. Maybe not perfect, but well enough. I just don't need them. And also for reading, I was wearing reading glass, using reading glasses. I know I'm can read this right here. I'm no problem. I don't need them. I think it's inflammation. A lot of I used to have tinnitus, periodic ear ringing. It would come and go. All of a sudden, that's been gone. The other weird thing that came up, Dave, that I just noticed because I was in a chat and someone was talking about lactose intolerance because I said, "Oh, drink some more milk." It was this one woman, Donna, who was having trouble. She lost so much weight on carnivore. She's like, "I need to gain weight." She's the opposite. I said, "Drink some milk. That'll help put on some weight." She goes, "Well, I'm really lactose intolerant." Well, you know what? I my whole life have been terribly lactose intolerant, and I'm no longer lactose intolerant. Like periodically I'll have some cheese here or there, or I have a little bit of cream in my coffee. Like in the old days, that would I'd be a mess with that. I have zero reaction to lactose anymore. None. I used to take those little lactate pills, that enzyme. I haven't taken one of them in 2 years, and yeah, there's been times where I've had some dairy. I've had no problems. Just weird stuff. I mean, I used to have migraines. I used to suffer terribly with migraines. Those headaches. I have not had a headache, Dave, in 2 years. I haven't gotten sick. I got sick one time in 2.5 years. I got the flu for like a week. But other than that, not even a sniffle. This is strange that someone at 63 is on no medicine, doesn't get sick, doesn't have headaches anymore, doesn't take any prescription medicines other than a thyroid pill. I mean, it's just odd. This is strange.
It's so nice to feel as you're getting older that you're not gonna have to constantly be at the doctor
Yeah.
getting new meds for the joint pain or new meds for depression, new meds for this, that, the other, you know?
And I'll tell you this too. You hear this all the time. Carnivore is expensive. I could never, I don't, you must be rich or something. I'm saving several $100s in prescription medicines, co-pays, out of pocket, all the different things. I used to have a sleep apnea thing going on and all the stuff that you need for that. And just all the medicine. If you take all the medicine and all the time that you spend in doctor's offices, the medicines, and that's hundreds of dollars right, Dave? You know what I do? I take those hundreds of dollars and you know what I buy with that?
Steak?
Steak, eggs, butter, and other kinds of meat, seafood, pork, chicken, whatever. I'm a carnivore that likes all of it. Like, as you can see on my shirt, my food pyramid, I got the cow, the sheep, and the, pig, and then the little chicken at the top. All of those are what, and I do eat them in that order too. I do mostly beef. I'd say 80% is beef. Beef prices have gone up so much that it is hard, to do as much. So I've been eating a little bit more of the pork and chicken, some seafood. But if I could have a T-bone steak or a ribeye or a New York strip steak every day, Dave, I do like variety, but I would have it 9 days out of 10, and the 10th day I'd have some other type of meat just for variety. But it is expensive.
Mm.
So the big change that's happened in my diet is not because of my volition. It's just the price. So I have increased, but I'm okay with some people have a problem with chicken or pork. I don't have a problem with it. Um, I can pretty much eat any type of meat very easily. I don't have any problem with it. Yeah.
Yeah. So how have your family and friends reacted to this?
Well, they think I'm kind of keto. They don't really know. My mom kind of knows I do mostly the carnivore. My mom is doing like low carb keto now, and she's doing great. She's 85. She's gonna be 85 on October 15th, but she's lost about 20 pounds. Her doctor has cut her insulin in half. Dave, she's 25-year diabetic. Cut her Ozempic in half. She's off 2 of her 3 blood pressure medicines. Her joint pain's less, her brain fog. And I got her finally off the statin 2 months ago. Finally convinced her to stop taking her statin, which has helped with the brain fog and the muscle and joint pain. I said to her, I said, because she sometimes will cheat and have a little bread. She sneaks the bread and the bagel and the bread. She's so once in a while she'll do that, and I'll say, Mom, you're a very difficult patient. I said, I'm trying to keep you alive, and you're difficult. You're a very difficult patient. She laughs. She thinks that's funny, but she's doing better. So, she's definitely doing well. Nobody else around me will listen to a thing I say. They just, I mean, my brother and sister and their family, they think I'm on keto. I tell them I eat meat and veg. I tell them, oh, I do meat and veg, because I haven't really changed my pitch since I started, because I really was meat and veg, back in the day for the most. Once in a while, Dave, I'll have some pickles or sauerkraut or something with my meat. I'm not maybe 100%, but for the most part, I'm pretty good. But so they are impressed. Obviously, they are very impressed by it, but they do worry about my heart. They just still think that that's it's dangerous. So they're like, just be careful. I'm like, okay, I'll be careful. But they see how healthy I am. And they know I'm off all my medicine. They know I've reversed my diabetes and high blood pressure. They know all these things, and here's the thing: my brother and sister are physicians. They're both diabetic on Ozempic. I know my brother is on Ozempic. I think my sister might be on Ozempic. I'm not sure, but they're both type 2 diabetic, high blood pressure. They both have all the things I have. My sister's very heavy, and my brother, I would say, is overweight, not morbidly obese, but a little bit overweight, like I used to be. and but they won't change. They won't change. I'm the crazy. I'm the crazy one.
If someone came to you and said, "Look, I'm willing to try this for 90 days," um, what do you recommend to kind of make this as easy as possible for me to get to that 90 days?
I,
What
I would
tips?
say ease into it. I would say ease into it. Start taking out the sugar first. Get rid of sugar, added sugar. Try and take out the grains, the breads, the seed oils. Definitely the processed foods. If you can get rid of the sugar and processed foods, that would be the first step. I wouldn't worry so much about the vegetable, like the vegetables, even if they're having some potatoes or, not French fries, because that's loaded with seed oils. But if they're having a baked potato or a sweet potato, or they're having salad or whatever, fine. Keep that for now. I would say try and just do, increase the meat, definitely increase the meat. Keep your fat as high as you can tolerate without having bathroom issues. Cut out all the processed food and added sugar and seed oils. Okay. And eventually start reducing the vegetables down a little bit, and move in that direction. That's how I would say, because it'll be easier on their, like Dr. Bart K does not recommend cold turkey carnivore. He really does. He thinks that it's better to, you don't want to just shock your body. Now there are people, Dave, and you know this. They're all or nothing, and they do better. Just okay. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. I never would be where I am now. I can tell you, we have 0% chance if someone's tried to take me from where I was on the SAD diet, and said you need to just eat meat and eggs, and lots of fat. I couldn't wrap. I wouldn't have been able to wrap my brain around that. So, and also I don't know how my body would have reacted to that. I don't know. So for me, a slower, I kind of went dirty keto, took out the keto treats and cookies and went clean keto. Then I did more towards ketovore or whatever, and then here I am. I would say I'm 95% carnivore. Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's one real benefit to this approach of stepping down like that
Yeah.
is that the closer you get to being carnivore, the better you're going to feel. So it's actually kind of in a way, it's kind of it's a self-perpetuating thing, It's like, "Oh, I feel great on keto. I wonder what'll happen if I cut out more of these veggies. Oh, I'm feeling better. I'm feeling better. I'm
Well,
feeling
it was
better."
Dave. It wasn't until I really started getting rid of most of those vegetables, that the arthritis, all those aches and pains really went away, and to where the brain fog really lifted, and to where my depression, anxiety, and all ADHD, that it really was carnivore that really made all of those psychiatric, whatever you want to call it, go away, and all the joint pains, that was all from carnivore, because keto, none of that was really happening. I mean, I felt better. I was losing weight and I did feel better, but it was almost like carnivore would put everything into overdrive, and I just feel my best. I just feel my best, when I just eat very clean.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, same.
Yeah.
Um, so Peter, if people want to reach out to you, how can they get in contact?
Best way is to email me. It's P like Peter, P Cutler, Cutler 15 at gmail.com. I do have a channel. It's one word, Papa Carnivore, Papacarnivore. I think it might be Papa Carnivore 15, but if you just type into YouTube, not two words, Papa space Carnivore, but Papa Carnivore, you should find me. I haven't made any videos, Dave, but curiously, I've got like 300 subscribers. I don't know. People come there, and I haven't really posted anything there. So the best way to get in and the other thing is, I think, I'm kind of everywhere in the chats. You'll see me. So if you see Papa Carnivore, you'll see me at Dr. Kilt's in the morning. He's every morning, 6 a.m. Eastern. I'm a moderator in Dr. Kiltz's chat. Old Guy Carnivore, Mitch. Every weekday morning, and also Sunday, I'm a moderator in his channel at 7. So I'm kind of busy between 6 and 8. I'm kind of moderating those two shows. And then I'm everywhere. I'm in all the different shows. You'll see me in the chat. And, my way of paying it forward, Dave, is to try and use what's happened to me, my experiences, almost like a informal coach to help people. And that's my way of giving back is in the chats or comments. I see a comment and I'll see someone struggling. I look for the comments where someone's kind of struggling or has questions, and I try and help them.
Nice. So I'll link to your email and your channel in the show notes.
Great.
Peter, thank you so much for coming back on and letting us know how things are going. I really appreciate your time.
And thanks for having me, Dave. It's been great. It's really good. And congratulations on 100,000 subscribers.